welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, Captain Logun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today. So tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, it is going to be all about Sea of News. There is a new Mimic Dart that we know a little bit more about coming up in December, as well as a bunch of events. And is Sea of Thieves making pinball machines? All that and more in this week's episode of Keelhauled Podcast. But before I get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They were the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled Podcast to support this content and more. Thank you so much for everyone that's gone over there to do that. It means a lot to me as I continue to use that money to help pay for the bills. It's never required. It's always appreciated. And it does get you access at the Captain tier to be able to join in on those community episodes at the end of the month. That is always recorded on the last Saturday that there is a Monday, unless we're having like a big holiday coming up, in which case we'll try to push it a week early to ensure that more people have access to be able to get into it. This next one is coming up on the 23rd of November. So 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, and I think like 5 a.m. for Regis. So with that, just keep that in mind as you listen to this episode, in case there's anything you have comments, concerns, or questions about that you want to bring up for the next episode with the community. We're going to be doing that again on the 23rd. Here are the patrons for their callouts. Thank you to A-Chick, Toasts, L Cute, Balls, Blue Turtle V1, Captain Chonky, Captain Longsharts, Chateau Neuf, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Godhammer 6, Jorby Jorbs, Carl Embo, Kylea the Aficionado, Lumpy SRQ, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Ors, Xbox Mike 29, Mutinous Max, Norwegian, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Ribloid, Rustbelt Kid, Skamelt 666, Captain Dasm, Tommy D, TN Professor, Vibralux, Wezzy Cruz, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, The Lore Chronologist, Deadeye Dre, Hager Owl, Jeff H, Captain Duckweed, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Luke Lore, The Insipid Ghost, and Zam Wow, who's over on a Disney cruise. How dare you be in the Tron ride? I'm very jealous. Pirates, with that, let's get into it. First up on today's docket, let's talk about the month of Sea of Thieves for November. This comes to us from Christina McGrath, head of community over at Rare, and this was published over on the 3rd, so it might be a little bit later than when it was originally released that I'm talking about it, and that's because I took off last weekend. I had a really nice weekend. I went and visited A-Chick, who's been my sailing partner and partner in general for a while now, and we got to go and actually just spend some time together. So it was a nice little vacation, get to spend more time actually together, as opposed to just the 3 days and the short amount of time that we had over at Fest Legends when we first met. Really happy to have had that, but I wanted to talk about the Sea of Thieves update for this month. It's interesting because the first thing that they actually talk about, and I kind of have some thoughts about this, is the Golden Scallywag Award. Now, if you're not familiar with this, I talked about this in a previous update. There are a numerous amount of awards that are going out. Each have their own theme, and each theme is going to kind of just encapsulate like what you do out in Sea of Thieves, and you can submit as many times as you want to, like, I think it's the 8 different categories, and you'll be able to get an in-game title as far as like the acknowledgement. There's some rewards as well as far as like the terms and conditions, but you have until I believe November 25th, which is now the cutoff date for when they're going to be doing the submissions. Originally, it was one of those things where they had talked about this being, I believe, towards the end of the, oh, no. It said that it closes on November 25th and that the announcement is going to be on the 13th. I can't remember if that was the original date, because the new update that they're talking about says that it's been extended to Monday, November 25th, which, if that's the case, that means they must have gone back and edited the old article to address that. So never mind. Apparently I don't remember when it was, but I could have sworn that we talked about this a while ago, that they were going to do it for a certain amount of time, and then they would make the announcements around the 25th of November. But I'd actually have to go back and listen to the old episode to actually check and see what that was, but now I can't remember. So anyway, here's the idea. There's a real life statue at stake. There's an in-game trinket as well as title for other people who've won the other categories. I think that they're extending this because they probably aren't seeing too many submissions and they just want to give people some more time, which is why they're talking about it again, to kind of give a little more heads up to that. So if you're not familiar with what was going on, the little blurb on the announcement that started on October 1st, God, that was a while ago, is that they're thriving on community and they want to make sure that they do a little bit of an awards ceremony for that. So they say, in a nutshell, we'll be scouring social media for entries that fall into one of our award categories. More on those in a moment. Showcasing the top tier examples and awards, prizes, or awarding prizes to the very best offerings. You've got plenty of time before and after season 14 expands your capacity to cause chaos to submit as many clips as you can create, so long as you deem them worthy of one of the following awards. And there's the 8 different ones. There's the devious disguise, the hilarious hider, the scaring is caring, snazziest steal, trickiest trap, perfect prank, admiral ambush, and guardian angel. And I think potentially for this is maybe not necessarily that they weren't getting submissions, but because they had to turn off a lot of the hiding and sneaking around features in season 14. So a lot of these categories are kind of mum because you couldn't actually do some of the things to really like showcase some of the new features in this. It's interesting that they're doing it just for season 14 and 13 content, though. Given the amount of content that's in the game, there's plenty of things that you can actually do. But most of the 8 categories, I would say, tend to cover what you would mostly do in Sea of Thieves as far as like interacting with other people. They have other contests as far as like the fashionista for the gloves. There's the golden sales for the screenshot contest that goes on all the time. So this kind of seems like they're wanting to do something special for the making mischief season, and as a result, they are extending it because, now that I think about it, they had to turn off a lot of the mischief making features for season 14. So hard to make content or submissions if you can't actually do those things in game. Meanwhile, Cora is going absolutely bonkers on my bed right now. She wants to play, but it's amazingly not the best time for that. So glad to see that they're extending it. We'll have to see towards the December when they actually make the announcements on the 13th. And just kind of see how that goes. So that's still going on. If you have any clips or anything that you think is fun or worthy, you can definitely submit that, see if you can get something fun, and maybe actually win and get one of the little in-game trinkets and a title, if not the actual like statue itself. Next on the docket, I did want to shout out to Big Bad Pad and all the devs and everyone that helped kind of with the Sea of Thieves skeleton comic that they gifted to me at Festa Legends. I actually just got that hung up now, so I'm actually really happy. I've got all of the artwork or like pictures that I've ever had, like artists or voice actors or devs sign, all now hanging up somewhere in the apartment, which is really nice. So just kind of nice to have that up on the wall now. Really happy about that. So hopefully if you guys ever watch Xbox Expansion Pass on Saturdays, or I guess if you watch the VOD later on for that podcast that I do with Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost, where we talk about Xbox stuff in general, You'll most likely see in the background that my my little skeleton comic signed by the devs and the Sea of Thieves Fest creators, that is up now on the wall. Really happy about that. So it was nice to have that kind of just to sit. Now it sits there and I can look at it and not have to worry like what's going to happen to it. So love that. Going on though, back to actual like Sea of Thieves Fest news. Legends Week is making a return. This is going to be going on in December. So December 2nd through the 9th, they're going to be adding a whole slew of things for Legends to do. This is for daily deeds. You've got stuff where you can get gold and doubloons. Sovereigns and Athena's Fortune rewards are going to be doubled. If you're level 50 in Athena's Fortune, you'll be able to get the legendary throwing knife, which is really cool. They've also got a Life of a Legend tattoo set, which I'm very curious to see what that is actually going to entail. It's going to be kind of nice just to see in general like how this is going to work. But the big thing for this is from the 2nd through the 9th, they are bringing back legendary message bottles. So you'll be able to find these washed up on the beach. You'll be able to open them and get a fair amount of loot for legend, like Athena's Fortune stuff. So great way to start working on that emissary if you're trying to get that leveled up for the distinction rings. So really awesome. Love that they're bringing this back. I think last time they did it, it was a big hit. Everyone really enjoyed it. There was tons of Athena loot out there. And I think that honestly, that and the Devil's Roar message in a bottles ought to be something that is a little more permanent in the game. Because I think that those breathe a little life into the world that, you know, for all intents and purposes, we're mostly just diving to voyages and stuff. And that's kind of an incentive to go from island to island and just get little messages in a bottle. I really love that whole system. So I think that would be a great way to kind of like add some life to the beaches and just give us a little more variety on that. The next update for the actual game is actually going to be coming in on November 14th. That's this Thursday. This is a free content update that drops on November 14th and is slated to bring back disguises while enabling pirates to set traps and hang from ledges. Alongside these Season 14 features, there will be a refreshed fashions in the Pirate Emporium, plus one free emote for collection, and a sweeping of smaller fixes to the game experience. For the first time, they're going to be offering an extra boost to the monthly update. Players who jump in during the first week after release will now earn a bonus stash of gold and doubloons. And there's new freely monthly voyages for all players in the form of the Voyage of Luck. This offers a single map leading to a high value loot item. And particularly fortunate pirates might find the golden map leading to a jackpot cache. Now, the way to identify this is when you actually get your map, the edges of it are actually going to glow gold. Nice to see that. I'm very interested in trying this out and seeing how my luck is. These voyages also have a pirate legend flavor for anyone who's reached that rank as well, too. What else is going on? Oh, Twitch drops. Oh, and by the way, the 14th, the clothing sets that they talked about, or that I just talked about, that's going to include the Ironwood Carpenter's Weapon set in shops, as well as a new cinched shirts, and the Ghostly Sword is getting a heavy and rapier alternatives to that as well. So keep an eye out for those. I feel like the Ghostly Swords probably should have been in last month with the spooky Halloween, but that's okay. They got that covered as well. If you're an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, there is now a perk that is available. You get a code. You can actually you don't have to claim the code. I think you can get the code, but it offers the Festive Fighter Pack. This is going from November 7th through to the new year. You will also get the Humble Gift and Mistletoe emotes and the Festival of Giving Weapons. So the video for this actually had a cosmetic that I hadn't seen, so I'm kind of curious if that was something that was new or just something that I don't recall coming to the game at some point. But outside of that, so November 7th through the January 1st, you've got the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Subscriber perk. On the 14th, you've got the new update. On the 15th is Twitch drops, and the Twitch drops will be running from Friday to Monday, so the 15th through the 18th. So right after the new update, you'll have the login bonus, which will give you the new Voyage, which is the limited time voyage, the legendary Voyage of Luck, which is that one-time short little voyage to go do to see what you get. You'll also get the new cosmetics in the shop. You'll also get the new weapons available to you. And if you watch any streamer playing Sea of Thieves, doesn't have to be a partner, any streamer watching Sea of Thieves with your linked accounts, you'll be able to get the Stalwart Sea Dog Spyglass and the Eastern Winds Ruby belt, boots, and dress. Now, I can tell you right now, actually, no, this says watching any Sea of Thieves partner on Twitch, which is not what the video said. They just said anyone who was playing Sea of Thieves. So I'm a little confused about that. I would go with a partner after you check and see if it's for anyone else. I'll probably be doing the same, but I know a lot of you guys probably don't care too much about the Eastern Winds Ruby belt, boots, and dress, as well as the Stalwart Sea Dog Spyglass, but at the same time, as someone who likes to collect as many of the cosmetics in the game as I'm able to do so, especially when it's as easy as just watching one of the streamers that I watch on a regular basis anyway, play through the game out there and do what they want to do, it's real easy for me to say like, hey, just go ahead and, you know, set up a tab, get your Twitch drops or your automatic Twitch extension rolling, and get those free drops. Next up, we've got the Season 14 Community Weekend. So this is going on. So if the update launches on the 14th, and there's a login bonus to get the limited time voyage with Twitch drops starting that, you know, this coming Friday and going till the Monday. After that, on Saturday, November 23rd, through till Monday, November 25th, which is actually just those 3 days. Yeah, well, it's not really 3 days. It's kind of 3 days. They are doing the Season 14 Community Weekend. Now, I will let you know right now, the 23rd through the 25th, as far as I know, is not actually Thanksgiving. Is it? I don't think it's Thanksgiving, because I think Thanksgiving is on 28th. Let me actually double check that, because it's usually the last Thursday. Yeah. Okay. It's the last Thursday of November. Just wanted to double check, which means that it's the 28th of November. So this upcoming community weekend will actually be the weekend before Thanksgiving, which is smart. I definitely appreciate that. And you will be able to participate in the United States. There will also be a good chance that I will want to record the November community episode that weekend, so that not only can I get some folks' opinions on the limited time voyage and how they feel about that, also how the game is doing after the update, and they reintroduce stuff with the introduction of traps. Going to be very curious to have some folks play test that, see what you guys think, and then we'll record the weekend of the community weekend. It'll take, you know, we'll take an hour out of the day while you're sitting there trying to get gold and glory and whatnot. And just take an hour to sit down to talk about that. Get you guys' thoughts and opinions on that. So as always, the community emissary grade boosts will bring a new obsidian stretch goal. Picture walls at outposts will have time limited voyages. There will be Twitch drops and more to kick off on November 23rd and runs for a full 48 hours. I don't know why they're saying that there's Twitch drops, but I guess maybe they're talking about the obsidian stretch goal. So for all intents and purposes, they said that the last full weekend of November brings Season 14's Community Weekend to Sailor Shores. Our usual seasonal frenzy of login bonuses, community emissary grade boosts, a new obsidian stretch goal, picture walls at outposts. Oh, picture walls. Duh. The thing that you get the, never mind. I get what they're saying about that. Time limited voyages, Twitch drops, and more will kick off on November 23rd and run for a full 48 hours. So yeah, that's coming November 23rd through the 25th. And that's that's pretty much it for November. There's you know, like 3-4 weeks left of November at this point. Was it 3? Yeah, 3 weeks left of November. So not a whole lot going on this last week, which is kind of why I took off last week. That, and I was also traveling, so I didn't really have my my setup, which I don't know if maybe one of these days I just need to get like a gaming laptop, so that way I can actually go and have like Space Admiral Ors has like a gaming laptop that he uses when he was at Festa Legends, and it was a little envious looking at my Logitech G Cloud and realizing that my Wi-Fi was not that great and I couldn't really stream. Looking at that native downloaded game client on that really nice laptop was kind of like, maybe I do need to have. I don't know. I keep debating on like getting like a Series S, but I don't know. It's always hard to try and like break away from gaming when you're traveling. I don't know. What do you guys do when you go traveling? And I know I'm asking gamers, you know, when you go traveling, what is your solution for getting your fix? Like, do you have a phone with a controller? Do you use touch controls? Do you have a tablet? Are you bringing a handheld of some sort? Is it a handheld that plays it natively, like a Steam Cloud? Is it a handheld that's like streaming, like a Logitech G Cloud? Are you going with a different ecosystem, like a Nintendo Switch? Are you bringing a laptop? Do you just bring like a Series S with you? Do you have like a Chrome stick that you're plugging in, or a Roku? Like, what is your solution for when you're traveling? Because I'm looking for opportunities to have like an easy kind of built-in experience where I'm not having to like try and figure out login situations on a chick's like PC, because that was redonkulous, and I don't know why Microsoft makes it so absolutely weird on how to do that. But I'm open to information as always. I love hearing from you guys, so if you have any suggestions or thoughts, feel free to shoot those at me, probably over on the Discord. Join in on the Discord. There's a bunch of channels. It doesn't matter really where you throw it. You could put it in the PC channel, you could put it in the Xbox channel, you could put it in the real life channel, for all I care. As long as you want to have some information shared and you want to throw it at me, more than welcome to head over there and do that. I think a lot of folks usually just use Tavern Talk, because that's kind of where we're all just hanging out anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much November. Looking forward to December, where we're getting the first week. We're already getting the Legends week kicking off with a legendary message bottle is going to show up on shores. I'm really looking forward to that. Then there's the actual like Sea of Thieves video to talk about. So let me grab a drink, and I want to talk about the new Voyage of Luck. All right, so let's talk about the Voyage of Luck, because this is going to be a once-a-month thing. You'll get it for logging in, I believe, during the first week of the month. It is going to be a short voyage, and it will take you to one island where you can dig up some interesting stuff. This ranges anywhere from a chest of fortune to any of the reliquaries or little trinkets, the raid dive trinkets that you need to turn in for commendations, as well as like Athena chests, Reaper chests, box of mysterious wonders. Any of those are all on the table when it comes to the loot pool for this voyage. Whether or not you get the golden one is going to be all based on chance, and really want to see what the payout for these is like. The only concern that I have right now is that usually when they do some of these limited time voyages, and it's usually like the gilded voyages, it's hard for people to really trust that something weird isn't going to happen, especially with the ones that are like lucrative. So hopefully they have tested this system and are going to make sure that it's easy for players to report that they lost theirs due to disconnects or things like that. You never know with this kind of a situation, like how the team is going to respond, if they're going to be able to get to provide you like a new version of it. And hopefully players aren't trying to like abuse that, but everyone will get one and you can throw yours down whenever you want. I like that they're a monthly thing. And I like that they're kind of rewarding people for jumping in at the beginning of the month, because I think that's probably the time where most people generally aren't, because usually folks will wait towards like the middle of the month if they want to jump in when there's a new update and they bring in like the actual cosmetics and such. And no, I'm not talking about them, the affiliate, or not the affiliate alliances, the alliance servers, for whatever reason, whenever like a new a new month drops and the emissaries reset and you look at the leaderboards and you're just like, why is one person out there with 8 million value in emissary ledger hours after the start of the actual season, or the actual monthly like emissary ledger? Don't get it, don't understand. It seems wild to me, but hopefully this will give you a good enough reason to jump into the game. I like some of the cosmetics that they're showing off in this. I'm kind of curious like what's going on with them, because they're pirate legend, but they're not stuff that I've seen. And maybe that's because it's locked right now to the content that I don't have access to because of the curses, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But I do like the variants on the Athena Fortune cosmetics that I'm seeing in the actual like video itself. So happy to know that there is stuff out there like that, if it hasn't already shot or already gotten to the game. So just curious to know like what's going on with that. But really awesome that they're doing something like this. I like when they do stuff like this because I think it's a fun way to get people to jump in each week to do something, whereas most of the time it's going to have to be like a content drop. And if they don't have like big content drops like they have in the past, if they're trying to decouple some of those things from the beginning of a season, then this will help kind of bring players in to do something, give you a reason to set sail when you normally would just be holding off for a content update and working on some other game at the time. So you may be asking yourself, what are you talking about, a Sea of Thieves pinball machine? Well, At Games, which is the actual name of the company that does these, publishes multiple types of 4K digital standing full-sized pinball machines. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, why am I bringing this up? Well, apparently at some point, Rare decided to market to At Games to create a pinball machine. Now, I don't know why Rare has not actually like promoted this or talked about it or anything. I don't understand how come this hasn't been brought up. But sure enough, if you go to atgames.us and you check out their pinball machines for pre-order, you can actually pre-order a Legends Pinball 4K Sea of Thieves pinball machine. This, I don't know like who is in the market for this. I'm not sure who's going to want to pick one of these up. It's about 62 inches tall. It's about 43 inches long and about 23 inches wide. So it's pretty decent sized. It has a display that shows off the main screen of it. I don't know how much of an actual pinball machine this is going to be because I've never purchased or seen one of these at Games pinball machines. But if you were to look at this, you'd see like all the cast of characters that you typically would see. You've got DeMarco, you've got the Reaper's Mark, you've got the Servant, you've got Flameheart. Let's see who else is on here. I'm trying to see. There's Lissetti is on the top like little marquee of this. It's got a galleon and a screen and speakers and sound effects all installed. And you might be wondering how much. Well, good news. If you want to pre-order it, between the 11th and the 13th, you can get it shipped to you directly from China for only $1,500. And I say that very seriously. Anything after that is going to be something that gets shipped from the US warehouse, and that is going to be a little over $1,800. So if you've got $1.5 to $2 grand laying around and you're a Sea of Thieves fan and you love pinball, you too can own one of these. Now, the promotion that they did for this did not include any gameplay. And I actually want to call out the actual, there's a YouTuber who went and actually did a video of this to kind of like talk about it. I didn't know like who they were. I've never seen their content before, but YouTube, with the amazing algorithm that it has, pushed this content to me because it was Sea of Thieves related. So P-Dubs Arcade Loft is over on YouTube, and shout out to him for putting out this video to talk about it. He does not play Sea of Thieves. He focuses purely on arcade machines. So if you guys want to know more about those, he can definitely give you a heads up on that. This is one of those ones that apparently you can install multiple software kits too, so that you can have different types of pinball on here. I don't know how these work. I don't know why they cost so much. It's wild to me that they do. But if I am looking at like what this little table has as far as like the actual built-in table, I'm pretty impressed with how they came across with it. They've got 3 of the flippers and a bunch of bumpers, flame hearts in the background, and he's actually like kind of the main set piece of this. You've got a galleon off to the left, a blunderbuss off to the right, a mast with a crow's nest up in the middle, up in the top section there. There's a captain's chest, as well as some Merchant Alliance crates, like pig crates, snake crates, chicken crates, things like that. There's 3 ramps that all have lanterns for different colors linked up to them, as well as like the rose compass at some point. There's also a couple pirates dueling on what looks to be the bridge for Smuggler's Bay that goes right above where the base bumpers are. I'm very impressed with this. I didn't think I'd ever see a Sea of Thieves pinball machine. To be perfectly honest, there are some exclusive collectibles like a unique builder's plate and a matching control deck art. I don't know what those mean. I'm sure if I was into pinball machines or arcade units, then I would probably be able to tell you what those are. Much in the way that P-Dubs Arcade Loft doesn't know anything about Sea of Thieves and thinks Flameheart is a Minotaur, I could not tell you for the life of me what a control deck is, but it has the Megalodon coming up underneath the water about to chomp on a sloop, and I love that artwork. It's like a wallpaper that I have typically on my desktop. But the playfield display is 32 inches. It's got 4K resolution. You can have it. It's a LCD screen. It's got integrated HD back glass and HD DMD dual display, whatever that means. To see the second and third displays support the 4K playfield for premium integral pinball gameplay. The machine is also equipped with an internal low latency video switchboard, allowing PC OTG access via 3 HDMI input ports. I could not tell you what the heck that means. They've got an internal Rockchip 3588 CPU with 64 gigs of storage. And yep, that's about as much as I understand. This is one of those ones where I think what they do is they typically have these displays set up to show what the bottom plate of it is going to look like, and they have like the ramps for them. The ramps look like they're specific to Sea of Thieves, but I have no clue, and there's no actual gameplay of this. Many of you checked out when I said $1,500. The rest of you checked out when I said $1,800. So if your wonderful little heart out there finds it in your pocketbooks to get this, because it's shipping next year, I will be very impressed to see a video of this, because I have no clue who is going to be grabbing one of these. But if you do, please let me know where I can come to actually play it, because I have no clue who's going to be picking up one of these. Even the most diehard of diehard Sea of Thieves fans, I would be very impressed to see like who that is going to be. One of the things that I did want to call out, the little product sheet that they have for this shows an FAQ page that has Briggsy with a bunch of pirates and Shelly like under on like the base of the actual PDF, and then it has like FAQ, and it has a picture of the Sea of Thieves pinball machine with the Servant of Flame next to it. None of these make any sense whatsoever, but one of the legs of the pinball machine is on top of Shelly's shell, and I'm a little offended. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but I'm definitely a little offended. I don't think they did, because I'm pretty sure they don't know what is going on there. It's actually, no, this is actually the key art that they used for the Skull of Siren song. Yeah, because it has pirates fighting against each other, I think. And it was about that time. So yeah, you can tell this has probably been in the works for a hot minute. If they're using this key art back when that actually launched. I think that was a year ago, actually, November of last year when they did this. The fact that they've got DeMarco and Lassetti on here is wild to me, because they have not been characters in the game for a couple years. And I am very concerned about why. I mean, it really must come down to they were setting this up a year ago. Oh, I see what the control plate is. It's a little thing that goes on top of like where, like just below where the flippers are, just above like the plunger. I have no clue why. Oh, and the topper for this, which is like a little marquee thing that you stick on top of it that has like Lassetti on it, sold separately. So, you know, hopefully you weren't expecting that to come with it. The package include, no, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. In a world where I can't get a bloody dynamic background for my Xbox console to be able to display in motion something Sea of Thieves related, is wild that I can spend $1,500 to $1,800 on a pinball machine that has not been marketed for pre-order by the devs at all. Like Rare has just not even touched this. I don't know if that's because this is a deal that is they probably ship to the UK. I would imagine that they ship to the UK. Shipping damage and replacement, shipping policy. Here we go. Shipping policy. Do they actually ship to the UK? Let me do a quick search. Oh, maybe they don't. maybe they don't actually ship to the UK. Return policy, shipping policy. For any questions, concerns, please contact this. Eligibility. Oh, these are coupons. It doesn't actually say like where they ship it to, but all of the fees are in American dollars, and they have a US thing. So they may not actually even sell this outside the US. I have no idea. But they also have an Addams Family one that actually has like the Addams Family movie with Raul Julia as Gomez, which is like the favorite for most of my generation. But they've got one there that I'm pretty happy about. I don't even think they have a video for this one. I don't know how sketchy this company is, but if Addams Family can get their stuff licensed for this, if Sea of Thieves can get their stuff licensed for this, it has to be good enough, I guess, maybe to justify that this is actually going to be a real product. I'm very, very confused about why this takes so long to ship, and also why there's no gameplay of this. It's very bizarre, but I'm kind of impressed that Adam and Pete got a pinball machine up and going. I would just ask, you know, like, if we can get a pinball machine going, can we get another controller, please? Because I would love to have another Sea of Thieves themed controller. You know what? Honestly, I'll tell you what, it's going to piss people off. Sell the old one. Sell the old original Sea of Thieves controller. Like, why isn't that more readily available? Like, that thing was amazing. I don't know if it was considered limited edition because I don't remember the packaging, and the packaging is probably in one of my boxes in my closet that I had to like stuff everything in on when I separated from my ex. So I probably can't pull that out right now, but I'd be willing to bet that it was limited edition. But man, I want to know. I want a new one, man. Is that too much to ask? We're getting a pinball machine. Can I get another controller? Anyway, it's wild. If you guys are interested in this, I'll have a link in the show notes. I'm also going to put a link to the actual like announcement video from the P-Dub's Arcade Loft channel, so you guys can check it out. He does a good job of actually covering it, and actually has very good rationale for why you should be hesitant about this. But it's a thing. It's 100% a thing. A Sea of Thieves pinball machine that's like a full on pinball sized machine that just has a digital. I have no clue how the digital display is. If you guys have ever used one of these, hit me up and let me know what you think of them, because I've already heard a couple opinions so far and they haven't been great. So I'm curious if there's anyone out there that can speak to how much they love theirs, just to know like if this was something that was like who did this and how much did it cost to take away from my dynamic background request. So next on the docket, let's talk about the Mimic Dart. I've already discussed my feelings on the blow dart as of the last episode that I put out, and how I feel like they could go around and actually do something better. This was on the last community episode, so if you skipped out on that because you don't like having group discussions and you want to know what I'm talking about, you'll have to go back there. But generally, I will say that the summary is using the right trigger to hold up an ADS with the blow dart, while also taking the deep breath in to increase the range and accuracy of the blow dart, while the left trigger is giving you access to the radial for the different darts. Not unlike fishing, when you have your fishing pole out, you cast and reel in with your right trigger and you use your left trigger to access the bait. Similarly with cannons, you fire with a cannon and you use the left trigger for accessing your cannon wheel. That system needs to be applied to the blow darts. I think if you want to start adding in more ammo types like the Mimic Dart and other ones that could be coming in the future, who knows what those could potentially be. The Mimic Dart is an interesting beast. This is going to be coming in the December update, which is typically around the middle of the month, and will be probably the last thing that Rare does production wise for the year. Typically by the end of the December update, they all go on vacation for a couple weeks, aside from the Essentials, which is usually the social team, as well as the bug devs and the ones that fix kind of like major issues, as well as server performance engineers who are just kind of on hand to make sure that the servers stay up and do not catch on fire. So Mimic Dart. This is an interesting one because I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see like what people do with it. I don't know how much use case there's really going to be. This whole season feels like it's been hamstrung because of the undercooked nature of a lot of the features. I think that the traps are one that I'm really excited to see how those will play out. But again, burying these on an island to entice people to come and actually like get them is asking like someone to come and do message boards for messages in a bottle that you put up on the message board. It is going to be very, very rare that people will want to go and actually interact with something on an island that may or may not have like actual traps around it. So I don't know how good these are going to be. Will they turn into the next message board? It's hard to say. Will they become another type of stool out in the world that you just use? Are they purely just for PvE use? If they are, then in that case, fantastic. Have fun with it. You know, try and do something interesting. I I don't really know like what the use case is going to be, but it will be interesting to kind of see what people do with them when they actually get their hands on them, because I think that the real gem of Sea of Thieves is not necessarily what the devs intend to do with things that they put into the world, but what people will do with that sandbox and the tools that they're given. So it'd be really cool to see like people trapping or throwing traps down below deck. I will imagine that people will probably be putting traps around anchors if that's possible. Again, I have not gotten a chance to really play around with these. I'm sure they've probably been in insiders. I just actually, believe it or not, I actually just updated and transferred insiders from my external slab on my Xbox console to the internal drive so that I could actually play it. I haven't played it, but I did update it. So, and that was like 90 gigs that I had to update. So that was fun. So I passed out. I absolutely, like, I was at the end of the night, I was just kind of getting stuff sorted and updated on my Series X. 100% passed out, woke up at like 4 in the morning, lights were still on, had to shut everything down, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's okay, well, I guess I'm not playing any tonight. So that was one of those instances where I would like to jump into insiders, but by the time I actually do, chances are we're not going to be too far away from actually just playing around with traps in person on the actual live servers. I look forward to figuring out what the use case is for these, aside from like the initial use cases of just getting the commendations done. Like for me, I've really appreciated what the harpoon has been for the game, and adding functionality like being able to run up the harpoon has really made it interesting for me to add that to my repertoire. You know, my little deck of cards that I pull out or I look at when I'm trying to figure out like how I'm going to deal with the upcoming situations. Same thing with like backpacks. Backpacks in the game can now be sold. I love the fact that you can kind of get rid of them, that you can hang on to them if you want. You can sell them for a measly amount of 150 gold, I think, to the sovereigns. So, but having that in the game has really changed how I play the game. Traps could be one of those things. I have my reservations because I kind of get like the intent of what they are for. And I don't necessarily know how to interact with them or how they'll interact or how they'll look, but I'm very curious to kind of like experiment with them. Very similar to what I did with the blow dart and the harpoon gun. I like to experiment with them, get an idea of where they're going to fit into my tool set, and just kind of know, like, am I going to play around with these, or is this just going to be something that's in the game for someone else? Because at the end of the day, not everything has to be for me, as long as I still have the things that I'm enjoying. And that's something that I think a lot of folks tend to forget about. I can always add critique and criticism. I can always add suggestions to try and like expand the opportunity for other things. But at the end of the day, realistically, there's going to be some things in the game that are not for me and are for other people. And as long as they're having fun, then at least the dev time was justified, because it doesn't always have to be about what I want in the game. Although I will always try to suggest what I think could be good for more people who have my mentality or my like decision, or not decision, but my what am I trying to say here? Play style. That's it. People that have my play style, having opportunities to address certain items or certain tools in the game and add a little bit more to them can't hurt, as long as it doesn't break the game. That's all I'll say on that. But the mimic dart coming into the game, very interesting, because you can mimic skeletons or players. Now I'm curious on the skeleton side, because I would like to know if this drops aggro the way I think it will, because currently you can actually lose aggro, which is I can't think of what the actual word, like aggro. I always think of aggro crag from from Guts. So, but no, it's like a aggro or aggression. You're taunting creatures to draw ire with you, or have ire with you. So, aggro is just one of those, I guess it's like a MMO term that came out of nowhere, but having aggro on a mob can be dropped in Sea of Thieves now if you duck down after you've broken line of sight. I'm not going to explain what line of sight is because that is very self-explanatory, but aggro for the layman is just mobs coming after you, having their attention. So I like the fact that you can do that now with the crouching. If a mimic dart offers something like this, I'd be very curious to find out, do mobs go into a friendly state when you take on their appearance, or are they still foes to you? Like, do they still have the red actual like name to them? Because if they do, then that's good. If you can't kill them after taking on their appearance, I don't necessarily like that. I would also like to know, if you do attack them, will they realize that you're like a secret agent and go after you at that point? You know, like, will they realize, oh, enemy behind the lines, you know, sheep in wolves clothing? Will they go after you after that? So I'm curious to find out how that aspect of the mimic dart works. The mind goes wild with concepts here to be able to like mimic a skeleton lord and then have his abilities would be wild. I don't know how they do it. I don't care how they would do it, but it'd be kind of cool if they did. But getting the ability to do that makes me wonder what the intent behind it is. Because at the moment, it doesn't really seem like there's much use case unless you are trying to hide on a skeleton ship or at a fort where you are trying to tuck. But at that point, it feels like it would be easier for you to just hide somewhere and be like a barrel than if you were to try and wander around and mingle within the actual like enemy groups. The other part of this deals with shooting a player with the mimic dart to take on their opinion or their appearance. And this calls in a lot of question. What is someone going to do when they look like you? Are they going to have your name tag? And if that's the case, that causes some concerns for trolling, for exploiting, for banning, things like that. Things like it's like, I don't want someone to look like me and for me to get flagged in a report because the devs can't tell the difference between someone who was looking like me and me, you know? Like those are legit concerns that I have. Is my appearance going to be something that is noticeable because the red tag is going to be present? Or like, how does the naming conventions work if someone uses a mimic dart on someone else? And what are some of the things that can be put into place to ensure that people aren't going to get harassed or reported by that? And vice versa. Someone else can say like, oh, well, you know, that wasn't me. Someone was using a mimic dart. I wouldn't do that in game. So there's legit concerns that I have just kind of with the logistics of how this mimic dart is going to work, because they've suggested that you'll be able to walk around, look like one of your crew, look like one of the crewmates, and be able to you know, play pretend as one of them. For some reason, they wouldn't recognize like why there's two of one person. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if people didn't realize that someone else on their crew was not actually their friend or someone that they knew. If this was all like matchmaking based and you couldn't really crew with people that you knew, I think this would be a much more interesting dart to be able to use. But I don't know how tricked people are going to be by it. I'll be very curious to know, because for all intents and purposes, most people that I know that play with their friends are playing either in a party chat or in Discord. Rarely is anyone playing this game with people that they know and they are not talking somehow. So the opportunities increase with the number of crew members that you have. If you've got 4 players, chances are one of them is going to be MIA for a minute. And if you manage to run around and do something as them, then there's a much better chance that they will not think much of it. But if you're grabbing a chest as one of their friends and running off the ship with it, they're probably going to wonder like why you're doing that. And it's going to take a couple seconds for them to check in with their friend in like voice chat and then realize, no, that's someone else using a mimic dart. If they read the patch notes, most people don't read the patch notes. I know you guys read the patch notes, and some of you don't read the patch notes and you just wait for me to go over the patch notes. I also accept that as well too. But I'm very curious to kind of finding out, like, is this going to work out the way Rare wants it to? Because it's a fun idea. It's a fun concept, but it's good in the sense that we're getting new things to play around with, and they're exploring new areas to kind of open up the opportunity to have fun with it. But how meaningful of an update will this be in the general scheme of things? I do like when Rare does these things, because I think it's interesting that they're adding new opportunities for players to engage with each other in different ways. Being that this is not my main way to engage with players in general, I was much more stoked about like harpoons, or like the changes to the ship sailing, because those were ways that you had to meaningfully recognize, like you had to really pay attention to what was going on during a battle. In naval combat is one of my favorite ways to engage in this game. It's one of the best pirate games I've ever played, because it's so dependent on your own skill compared to everyone else. Like the power level is flat. So naval comes down to pure skill and opportunity. And if you can capitalize on both, you can get quote unquote lucky and win the fight. So for me, that's where I look for all of my updates. Those are where I look and see, like, are they doing things to make things more interesting for naval combat? Cursed cannonballs, harpoons, kegs, stuff like that. Harpoon guns is not quite. The Murph fruit, not quite. Like close. Like really close, but not quite. I feel like those are all fun things that can engage with naval combat as a base tool, even though they were set up as a, making mischief tool for sneaking around and for getting to do things without being noticed. I've been able to find ways to adapt those tools into my naval combat enjoyment of the game. So, and likewise, I found other ways to kind of do that with like PvE engagement, stuff like that. So I'm still finding opportunities where I do like to engage with the game, with the content that's being released, even if it's not necessarily something that is the intended way of the actual launch content. And I think that's where traps and the mimic dart are going to fall in for me. I don't know if they'll necessarily be great for what I like to do in Sea of Thieves, but they could be exceptionally fun for other people who love this style of gameplay. And far be it for me to take something like that away from them, because it's not what I want. So as much as I think that a lot of these tools could be improved upon, could be adding functionality to open up a breadth of opportunity for other gamers who don't necessarily go around sneaking. I will say that as long as they're in the game and people are enjoying them, then I'm totally cool with them staying in the game and the devs putting effort there, because eventually it'll kind of work its way back around, and I'll get something. And I'll get something that I'll be like, this is fantastic. I like this. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the little Pirates of the Caribbean life, Pirates Life 2 Tall Tales. It was very sweet of you. And I think that it's very magical that you're bringing this to the game, because it's everything that I wanted and more. And I cannot tell you what else I could possibly want for this game. So I think we could probably just move on to Sea of Thieves 2 at this point. Bring on the ice region. Outside of that, Pirates, that was pretty much it. A lot of this is kind of like hanging on what happens this week. My heart goes out to the devs. May this launch be as fluid and solid and resonate with the community as I want it to be, because right now that is exactly what I need, because at the moment, Call of Duty has got my attention, and I have been grinding my gold camos on there and shooting zombies in the face. And if anyone knows me, I like shooting zombies in the face all the time, especially when it's just hordes and hordes of zombies. It's a blast. Anyway, that's pretty much it, pirates. It's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode this week because I, again, haven't really gotten a chance to jump in Insiders, and even if I did, wouldn't really be able to chat too much about it because it's still technically under NDA. So we will wait until the actual update comes out, get my impressions, get my thoughts and feelings together on that, see where things are going with the actual story, and see if we can come up with some great stories to tell going out into the seas and actually having some fun with folks. So pirates, thank you very much. That is going to do it for this episode. If you guys want to get a hold of me, there's plenty of ways to do that. The best way to do that is going to be through the Keelhauled podcast Discord. There's a link in the show notes for that. Otherwise, there's a community channel through the Patreon, and I am currently going into Blue Sky. I will say Twitter is a dumpster fire. X has completely turned me off as far as anything that I like to do with social media. That is all dead on X. Like I'm not enjoying my time there. It's a constant like struggle to even like feel like the algorithm is even trying to push out my content to other people, let alone see the content from my friends that I've had for years that I never see their posts or their comments. And it's just, why did they go and have to make it so messy? So I'm over on Blue Sky. It's at CaptainLogun, CaptainLogun.bsky.social. That's a Blue Sky social. But if you just search Captain Logun, you'll probably find me very easily. My DMs are open. My profile is still fairly fresh, and I've got it on the home screen for my phone, so I see all of that when it comes in. If not, you can always drop a message in the comments for this video and let me know what you guys think, what you guys feel. Again, if you have any recommendations for traveling with tech, I'm always curious about that. I currently have a Logitech G Cloud that I use for anything that's not Nintendo, and then I have the Nintendo limited edition Legend of Zelda OLED Switch that was gifted to me from the community as like my main go-to, because really on the plane it feels so serene to just have me running around looking for Koroks in Tears of the Kingdom. Outside of that, oh, you know what I would really love, actually, if you're still listening, give me your best recommendations for noise canceling headphones, because planes are loud, and with me flying a lot more in the future, I want to know like what you guys think is the best noise canceling headphones. If you've played around with those, I would love to get some thoughts on that. Also, let me know if you got some stories too. What have you guys been up to? Like, what are you doing with them blow darts? You know, like how many things have you harpooned? What do you like to harpoon? Do you like to harpoon snakes? Do you like to blow dart snakes? I like to harpoon kegs personally, because I think it's dangerous. It's kind of fun, and my middle name is Danger, so it just works out. Anyway, lots of ways to get a hold of me. Check the show notes for all of those and more. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always reach out to me. You can always reach out to the Sherpas in the Discord. They're always available to help kind of identify new pirates and help you get your sea legs so that you can survive in the vast, dangerous world of Sea of Thieves, when Rare will always try to throw as many PvE things at you as you were trying to engage with another person, not understanding that you are only one solo person on a cannon rowboat with a hope and a dream, and there's only so much you can give to the Whale Lord where he will not respond to you. So outside of that, pirates, thank you. I love you. Oh, before I get I can't believe I almost forgot about this. I'll edit this in earlier because I got to talk about the pinball machine. I almost forgot. So I'll end it here. I'll go back in, drop in the pinball info.